Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the Stingray show to bring on our very special guest for this evening, and our guest is the main man up there at Kentucky. He just became the winningest football coach in Kentucky history. Now, before at Kentucky, he was a player at the University of Iowa as a defensive back. He has also had coaching stops at South Florida, Wyoming, as well as Miami, Florida, Arizona, and then, of course, Florida State before becoming the main man up there at Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Stoops. Mark, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Stingray. Hanging in there, just preparing for the next game, getting ready for
Yes.
YSU, and that's it. Just in the middle of our preparation. So,
All right, well, Coach, first off, I noticed that from last year to this year, you have lost a considerable amount of weight. First off, let me say congratulations. You look great. And how did you do it?
well, thanks. Nothing in particular. I've just been just, I guess, stress. Working out a little bit when I can, and that's it. Down a few pounds, but as they
Yes.
say right now, Stephen, it's just sand off the beach. I gotta keep on going.
Yes, sir. Well, growing up, Coach, who were some of your first favorite players?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. Probably, Franco Harris back in the day, I guess. That tells you how old I am. I grew up in Youngstown. So we were split between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, So uh, I rooted for both of those teams.
Yes.
Of
Well,
course, Bernie Kosar also. Bernie, I know Bernie
yes.
is from my same area. So I always rooted for him with the Browns.
Talk about some of your fondest memories while playing at the University of Iowa as a defensive back, please.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Heck, there's so many. Probably just the friendships, the relationships that I have to this day. It was an honor playing under Coach Hayden Fry. He's a legendary guy and fantastic place. And, like I said, I have some dear friends to this day. So just the relationships that you build from going through things like that.
All right, obviously, last weekend at Florida, you got the win to become the winningest coach in Kentucky football history. What does it mean to you personally to pass the legend Paul Bear Bryant for most wins at Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean it. The standard answers for a coach. I mean, we're in the moment. We're trying to win games. We're worried about the next one. As I say all the time, you got about every 7 days to be humbled in this profession. But I appreciate the coaches, the past players, the past coaches, the current players and coaches. It's been a lot of work by a lot of people,
Yes.
and it is something about persevering and staying with it because it's easy to want to hit the reset button and start over and learn from all my past mistakes and things that you do early on that that if you started over, you could maybe hit the reset button and do things better. But you also have to stick with it and persevere through it. I've said this 3 times, so I want to make sure because this is an Alabama show here that I've said it on the record prior to breaking the record and whatever. Like,
Mhm.
certainly my name doesn't need to be mentioned with Paul Bear Bryant. I have ultimate respect for him and what he has done for the game and who he is. It is in the context of here at Kentucky. And, that's where it ends. I wish they were comparing me to all the championships that he won, but
Oh,
we're working on it. But he's
yes.
a legend. I don't even pretend to try to put my name in his. There's maybe only one person that you could talk about with the same breath as Paul Bear Bryant, and he's your coach there.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, when you got to Kentucky in November of 2012, Kentucky had just had a 2-10 football season. Please walk us through the difficulties of trying to change the culture from where it was day one to where it is right now, please.
Yeah, it's a long process, to do that. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, and it doesn't happen overnight. and I think that's where the perseverance and consistency, just grinding it out over the years. You have to do it. We had so much work to do. I think you all understand that, being in the SEC and watching SEC football for so long, that when I started, you felt like you were 6 feet buried under the ground. And out of 14 schools, we were pretty low there at number 14, and we felt like we were like 18 at that
Yes.
point. So you have to keep on climbing and jumping over people that are working extremely hard, and pushing. The entire every program in the SEC is interested in getting better every year, and so you just gotta. For me, it's just I have no control over the other schools. It's just a matter of what we're going to do and how are we going to build, and how are we going to continue to grow this program. And we
Yes.
did that. We do that through many different ways, but we talk about engaging, equipping,
Mhm.
going through experiences, and then a lot of self-examination. And what's the reality? What are we really like? And where are we falling short? What are the areas we're doing well? Constantly examining the program and adapting. Because this game is changing each and every year, and you got to stay current.
We actually have one listener question for you. It comes in from a guy named Cody Kirk, and he would like to know, Coach, after a big win like you had down at Florida, how do you go about bringing your team back down to earth, or do you embrace that pressure?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think there's layers to that, but I think it's very important to educate your team and talk about it. And we talked about it on Monday. We are certainly not a good enough team to not play. When we're prepared, and everybody wants to win on Saturday. It's how prepared are you going to be? How hard are you going to work during the week to prepare to win? And we challenge them each and every day on that. And you learn from past mistakes a lot of times, or close calls. And I call them scars. As in the football world, as coaches, you learn to try to not let things happen from previous scars, from previous failures. And so we try to educate them. We have to play at our very best each and every week to win. Some
Mhm.
teams could maybe not play their best and win because they're that talented. We're certainly not that. So we have to be at a peak performance each and every day.
Well, talking about your play on the field, Will Levis has done some great things to start this season, but where would you like to see Will continue to evolve week by week?
Just the little things. He's a really good player. When he is slightly off, a lot of it's just little things. His footwork, his technique. He's a great leader. He's a competitor. He's going to put everything into it. But it's the little things. It's the technique. It's his footwork. It's his steps. It's all those things.
Yes. All right. Whenever Chris Rodriguez returns, how dynamic can your offense ultimately be?
He'll be a big addition. He definitely is a guy that gets extremely tough yards, and for us, that kind of makes the offense go. Sometimes it's not too flashy when you get a 3, 4, 5 yard gain, but it keeps the defenses off balance. And he's a guy that's really good at going forward. He doesn't take very many negative yardage plays, and kind of runs downhill for us, which fits our, who we are. So he'll help. He will definitely help.
Going into week three, based on what you've seen from your team, ultimately, coach, what is the ceiling for Kentucky in 2022?
We're not. I can't even really be consumed by that. It's really, we made great strides between week 1 and week 2,
Mhm.
which a lot of people do. A lot of coaches talk about that. You've heard that before, and we needed to, and we did. And right now, it's about continuing to improve. We have a lot of work to do before we ever start thinking about any of that. So we're trying to go 3-0. I am proud of the start. I feel like we've improved, but we have to worry about this week to go 3-0.
Yes. Well, a fun question for you, coach. Over the summer, we had one of your recent players on the show, punter Max Duffy. Do you
Mhm.
have any fun stories that you could share with us about Max?
Oh, Max, he's a beauty, man. He's used to the Australian rules football, and coming in. I mean, just his etiquette. Like he just has no filter, whatsoever. He doesn't know any better. So when he was hanging around with us, he would just be very direct with me, and a lot of players would just look at him like, "Are you crazy? You can't talk to coach like that." But I have a
Yes.
really good relationship with Max. I think the world of him, and he's a character, that's for sure.
And he wanted me to actually ask you, Coach, how much of your salary goes towards shampoo?
Not very much. I
I thought
just need
you.
a couple little drops. That's it. He's really funny. Okay,
Yes,
I mean, you've heard of the TV show, the 40-year-old virgin, or whatever it was
yes,
called, or whatever. Well, you tell Max was like the 40-year-old punter in college football.
yes.
He's like the oldest punter in the history of college football.
Right. Well, Coach, I thought you would like that.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is this: can you please describe for us how difficult it is to deal with the culture of college football right now with the transfer portal and the NIL situation?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. But it is what it is. You have to be able to adapt to it, figure it out the best you can, and change with the times. So I think it is a real challenge. I think roster management is a big piece of that, and how many players are coming and going, and with the recruiting piece and name, image, and likeness, and all those things. It's a challenge, but um, just like every year when things change, we seem to adapt to it and be able to figure it out over time.
Well, Coach, look, we really do want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And before we let you go, is there anything that you would like to give a shout out to?
No, just thanks for having me again.
Yes.
I know you're there in the heart of Alabama, and again, don't let anybody get it confused. Mark Stoops doesn't think he's Paul Bear Bryant,
Yes.
So I am fortunate to be here and pass the legendary coach here at Kentucky. But I have the ultimate respect for him, and again, Coach Saban and what you guys are doing there in Alabama. So best of luck, and
Okay.
you all take care.
You too, bud. And we will be rooting for you. And hopefully, you guys can get to Catlanta this season.
I hope so. Thank
Yes.
you.
So
Take
thank
care.
you. All right. Well, guys, that was going to wrap up the interview with Coach Mark Stoops, and we really do want to thank him for joining us. And coming up on the other side of the break, we are going to get to some other head coaches from the SEC teleconference. You will hear from Brian Kelly. You will, excuse me, you will hear from Mike Leach, and you will also hear from Brian Harson about their big games this weekend. And then, of course, we are going to pick games on the other side of the break. That's on the Stingray Show coming up right here on Tide 100.9.